Good morning. Happy Monday. So last week we explored, a rejection of this trend line and a move lower. We saw, we pretty much got to follow through. And Friday we just, chopped around. And this morning again, we're opening, in this range of chops. So right now what I'm watching for is to see how, this triangle wedge conspires. Obviously, this is the bull flag. The bulls have held within their flag, right? So for first, let's discuss two cases. Number one is, this considering this is rejecting the, 200-day moving average on the 3-hour, a breakdown of this, right? We could come down to this channel, the trend line holding a support. And I would, expect a pretty sizable bounce off of this 4020, 4,000 level, right? As support. So, if we do break down pre-CPI and then that could lend into a CPI being a bounce type of candidate, right? So I have this as your A wave, your B wave, and your C wave. So this is just one scenario, right? This is obviously the bear version. I mean, a short-term bear version rather. Now let's kind of look at, the more bullish scenario where if we consider this bull flag to play out, let's kind of see, what our target and what our options are kind of going to be, right? So obviously this right here is a flag. So the flag, tends to have a breakout, a small retrace to, retest the flag before you have a 5-wave rally to the upside, right? Before it breaks down. So again, this is kind of what the bull version would look like. And again, so you may ask me, what is more likely to occur? Is it going to be the bull version, right? Where in the market, let's say we, try to extend this pink trend line, right? You can look for potential target levels, this way, and you zoom out, you can see that this was, the level of previous resistance. So I would, obviously, you can see the flag breaks around, 4150. I would like a break of 4150 and a small pullback, to form this inverse head and shoulders for, if this bull flag is kind of going to play out. And what is kind of the level I'm looking for a breakdown is around 4070. We break 4070. I think we, come down to 4020, 4,000 before we kind of have this, kind of zigzag pattern going on. So yeah, that's kind of my bigger picture, kind of what I'm looking at, for both bull and bear case scenario. And again, what would that largely be dependent on? It would obviously be dependent on the dollar. And you will be able to see that, the dollar rallied right into resistance. It retraced, and again, we're right into resistance. So obviously, this is a very critical juncture, at least on, the 4-hour chart for the recent months. The dollar is, kind of trying to break out. So again, one of two things is going to happen, right? So if the dollar, breaks out, then the dollar is very likely, not going to have barely any resistance all the way up to 105, right? Before the dollar kind of bounces. So this would kind of what a bullish dollar would kind of look like. And again, what would be a bearish dollar is if the dollar rejects here, then it's very likely, going to retrace back down to support before, the dollar kind of bounces. So again, this is again directly tied to how the indexes look, right? So if you expecting a bearish dollar, right? Bearish dollar wherein we reject here and come back down, then the market very likely is going to play out this, green bull pattern up to 4,300. However, if you are, anticipating a more bearish, a bullish dollar, right, that breaks out and pushes to prior resistance, then the market obviously is likely going to break down this bear flag to move down lower. So yeah, like it's both tied together, right? You have the dollar as an additional source of, confirmation for the respective move the index is going to make. So I just roughly wanted to discuss the kind of the two scenarios I'm watching. Obviously, right? This again, I didn't draw a version where we retest the top of this before it has, kind of a massive rejection. That's also possible. I could definitely see, if the market wanted to trap the bulls in, I could definitely see, a push to the top of this channel, which is at about 4150. But I think that's less likely to occur. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Yeah, with that being said, let's kind of look at this week's watch list, right, on the market. So the first one I wanted to point out was Boeing. And again, the reason for that is, again, as you can see, this is the level holding its resistance. and this is the trend line holding a support. So again, one of two things is going to happen, right? The breakout level, right, for Boeing would be 215. If it breaks 215, it's broken this trend line and it's broken previous resistance. So a break over 215, you can kind of see 220 on Boeing. However, also the bear version of Boeing, right? This triangle can break both bullishly and bearishly. So again, a bear version of a triangle has Boeing, breaking the support at 210. And again, 208 is the most recent support, but the bottom of this trend line, where Boeing has always, if a rejection has brought down, is at about 204. So yeah, those are kind of our bullish and bearish targets on kind of Boeing for this week. Kind of wait to see, which way this symmetrical triangle kind of breaks. Let's look at the next one, which is LULU. And LULU, you'll discover, is actually very similar to, like Boeing, in the sense that it's in a symmetrical triangle. And something else I want to point out about LULU is on the weekly chart, this green trend line is support, right? So you can kind of see that, we were kind of consolidating in a bigger wedge near support. We broke that. And now on the weekly, we're still consolidating near the 200 days. So, I mean, LULU is going to have a big move in either direction, and it'll be important, right? You can kind of see why this level we're currently at is going to be important, right? A break below here would mean a larger, breakdown down to 262. Or if, this trend line gets saved and we move into this channel, right, we could consolidate for, a retest of 350 again. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring out LULU. You can kind of see that we are stuck kind of in a tight range, and this range is either going to lead to a breakout or breakdown of, sizable moves. Like a 20%, 15% move in either direction is pretty nice, move to kind of hold on to. So yeah, kind of an important area for LULU. It's gonna keep an eye on that, become more interesting in the future. All right, let's look at the next one, which is CRSR. Again, the reason for this is very simple, right? You obviously can see that this is a level of resistance, and we have, since April of last year, kind of just been consolidating sideways. So this does look like an inverse head and shoulders, right? I'm not sure it's already red. It could have an inside week, right, inside this candle, but for the future, right, I want to bring this onto your, watch list is a break over, 17.58, let's say round off 18, right? A break over 18 would, easily let it move up to 22, 23, which is like a 30% move. So yeah, just kind of keep your eye on CRSR. Again, this is the downtrend line. It has broken out of the downtrend. So it's either gonna, come consolidate one last time before it breaks out, or, this week could lead to a breakout. So yeah, just wanted to bring that to your attention. And the last one for this week's watch list is Etsy. Again, the reason for that is this is a very, this is an outside engulfing bar, almost 2 candles worth, right? So if the support level, right, at 132 breaks on Etsy, then there's barely, any support down to 120. So that could be a nice $10 scalp, right? And even more bearish target would kind of be 115. So it's kind of what I'm watching for Etsy, right, to come back down to this lower channel. So yeah, that's the reason. This candle looked pretty bearish, could lead to an intense follow through. So again, being a CPI week could be interesting, right? So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about this week. Again, one last thing I wanted to point out is we discussed how Wix was tightly in a wedge, right? And what did we see last week? We saw a breakout of the Wix, right? And now we're kind of trying to establish a higher channel. So the max, right, if you're bullish on the Wix, you need it to stay about 20, because if it starts to break in under 20, it's definitely, going to come down to 18. So ideally hold this channel, right? And the next level of resistance would be at 23.79. So yeah, the Wix has broken out, but it does look a little fidgety with, again, next breakout level over 22. It should have, easy room to the upside. So yeah, the Wix is kind of signaling some kind of danger, but yeah, bulls would need a break below 20, and equities will likely rise again. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.